Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. You're tuned in to Setting the Record Straight with the Urban Conservative. My name is Chaz Neal, your host, revolutionary journalist based in Minnesota. And we are being brought to you today by the Leon Block Network. We are all about transparency, truth, and accountability. Setting the Record Straight is all about the news on the streets, gun violence, crime, politics, and how we solve our community's most hardest issues. How can we change our communities for the better? Let's get back to family, community, foundational roots. Let's make sure nobody gets left behind. Shut up and help. Um, Today, what we're going to talk about on Setting the Record Straight is I've wanted to discuss, since it's been a hot topic, is Jason Aldean and setting try that in a small town. Um, and I found a really good um, videos and article to use, and that's what we're going to use today. So she made Destiny Stark, who is from Ohio, an activist based in Ohio, uh, basically broke it down and how Jason Aldean's Try That in a Small Town is directed at Black people. Um, and basically the meaning behind it. So I really want to get into this and show people what this is about. So
was a visceral response to hearing this song for the first time today. I mean that shit. After listening to this song one time, the references that I heard were nods to sundown towns and lynch mobs. And actually, this song is a great example of how you don't have to mention race at all for something to very obviously be about race. So the song is called Try That in a Small Town. And if you're with me, you already know where this is going. So right out of the gate in the first verse, he's talking about very stereotypical crimes that you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. Like carjackings and robbing liquor stores. Who talks about those crimes? Sounds like he got his inspiration for this song from Fox News. And then he goes on to say, cuss out a cop, spit in his face, stomp on the flag and light it up. Yeah, you think you're tough. Who could he be talking about there? Because I guarantee you it's not the people from the Capitol. So then we get to the chorus, and this is where shit just gets wild. So he says, well, try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road. Round here, we take care of our own. You cross that line, it won't take long for you to find out. I recommend you don't try that in a small town. Tell me that that is not a reference to sundown town behavior. You cannot convince me otherwise. So then we get to verse 2, and it just gets more unhinged as we move forward. He says, got a gun that my granddad gave me. They say one day they're going to round up. Well, that shit might fly in the city. Good luck. Like, speechless. This part had me speechless. Because who's been talking about the resistance? And demographically, who usually lives in cities? Black folks. The answer is Black folks. And then it goes through that sundown town chorus again. And I just can't get the picture out of my mind when he says, see how far you make it down the road. There is a scene in Lovecraft Country, if you've ever seen that show, where they're in a sundown town and they get chased out of the town. And like literally, that's all I can picture when I read that line. So then we get to the bridge where he unironically burned it to the ground with this song. So he says, full of good old boys raised up right. If you're looking for a fight, try that in a small town. I feel like I could do a whole separate video on the historical context of what the good old boys means. Because if you search that term and the history of it, there's lots of different meanings from different areas of the country about what good old boys means. But when I hear that phrase, all I can think of is a group of white vigilantes who's made it their sole mission in life to keep Black folks in check. Should I do a part 2 about the music video? So are we going to talk about the racist dog whistles in Jason Aldean? All right, so I guess since that video hit 1 million views, it's time that we actually talk about the music video. And this is likely going to take multiple parts because I am only less than like 30 seconds into this music video and it's already super problematic. All right, so for starters, the location that he chose to shoot this video in is the Maury County Courthouse, which is the location of multiple lynching attempts and also a race riot. Not like you could miss it, but where the American flag hangs was actually the site of a lynching in 1927. So this is a newspaper clipping that literally says at the top, scene of Columbia lynching. So the story goes that in 1927, 18-year-old Henry Coate was arrested after a young white girl said that a young black man attacked her. We know how that story goes. The sheriff let loose some bloodhounds, and they found the first young black man that they came across, who happened to be Henry Coate, and they put him in the Maury County Jail. When the white community heard of this alleged attack on this young white girl, a lynch mob formed of 250 plus white men. They broke into the jail and kidnapped Henry. And trigger warning here, because I'm going to be talking about what happened. After kidnapping him from the jail, they hit him over the head with a sledgehammer, tied him to a truck, and drug him through town up to this very location, the Maury County Courthouse. And you see that X right there? That's exactly where they hung him from. Looks familiar, right? Well, it should, because that's the same area that's lit up in the music video with the American flag hanging there. If that's not sending a racist message, I don't know what the fuck is. The Maury County Courthouse has been at the center of racial tensions in this community for many years. And if you didn't know, the state of Tennessee was actually the birthplace of the Ku Klux Klan. In 1943 alone, there were 242 incidents of racial violence across the state of Tennessee. And in 1946, some calling it the first race riot since the end of World War II, the Columbia Race Riot occurred in February of 1946. In 1946, Columbia had about 5,000 white residents and 3,000 black residents, and a thick history of racial violence. So on February 25th, 1946, a black World War II veteran named James Stevenson and his mom Gladys went to a local department store to pick up a radio that they had dropped off for repair. And the department store had sold their radio to another customer. Gladys, obviously upset, demanded compensation for the radio. A store employee got in Gladys's face, and James wasn't having that. So a fight ensued between James and the store employee, who was injured when he fell through a window. And I might as well just stop this now because I'm going to have to go to a part 2. I'm filming these in real time, so I swear I'll get it up as soon as I can. All right, so I guess since that video... All right, part 3, picking up where we left off. So James and Gladys were both arrested for disturbing the peace. They both pled guilty, and they got a $50 fine. Except the store employee's father, who wasn't satisfied that they were only arrested and charged with disturbing the peace, insisted that the police serve a warrant on James and Gladys for assault with intent to commit murder. And so they were arrested. A prominent black business owner named Julius Blair posted their bond, and they were released. After hearing about the fight at the department store, an angry white mob gathered. And where did they gather, you ask? None other than the Maury County Courthouse. And when the news spread to the black community of a lynch mob forming, the black citizens, and many of them being World War II veterans, gathered and armed themselves. And keep in mind the historical context of the previous lynchings in this very town. So their fears of an angry white mob forming were valid. So this side of town, which was the black side of town, was also called the Mink Slide. And like many other black thriving communities, it became the target of violence and destruction. So the black citizens and veterans that armed themselves posted up on rooftops of their businesses, kept lookouts, and to further protect their side of town, they also ordered lights out for the houses, for the businesses, lights out. So they started to shoot out the streetlights so that it would be completely pitch black if anyone were to come into their side of town. This was a way to protect them, protect their businesses from brutality and destruction. And I also just want to point out that the narrative that the newspapers were putting out in the following days was this. They called this scared black community, and I quote, fear-crazed Negroes who had believed that lynching parties were out to get them. The gaslighting. I'm covering up part of this picture because there's a person on the ground behind me. But in response to the rising racial tensions following all of this, the sheriff deputized state highway patrolmen and the National Guard. And the governor of Tennessee demanded that they search all of the homes in the black area and remove all of their weapons. So 67 highway patrolmen and 59 state guardsmen were deputized. And the highway patrolmen tried to deputize the white citizens from the lynch mob. And as if that's not problematic enough, the other issue was that when the governor sent the guardsmen and the patrolmen to Columbia, he gave no orders of a unified command. So basically, no one was in charge. And before the guard arrived, the patrolmen were trying to join with the white mob. They even attempted to arm the white mob. And the patrolmen really wanted nothing to do with any type of unified chain of command. So they left the National Guard there and they stormed into Mink Slide. And while they were there, they fired indiscriminately into businesses, searched homes, confiscated weapons, and according to some, stole property. Gonna run out of time, so I'm gonna have to do a part 4. All right, part 4. We're picking up where I left off. So as I was saying, the patrolmen that went into the Mink Slide community fired indiscriminately into their businesses, searched their homes and confiscated weapons, and allegedly stole property. And make no mistake, not a single Black-owned business was left unharmed. Windows were broken, interiors were destroyed, and merchandise was damaged and scattered on the floors. I couldn't find more info on this picture, but it was listed on eBay saying that this is Blair Drugstore from the Columbia race riot. And I'm not for sure, so don't quote me on this, but Blair's Drugstore, I wonder if that was the prominent business owner that ended up posting the bond for James and Gladys. If there are any local historians there in Tennessee that know the answer to that question, I would love to know. But if this was his business, it was completely destroyed. And while the patrolmen are just wreaking havoc through Mink Slide, they're arresting people en masse. They actually ended up arresting over 100 Black citizens that night. Not only that, but they also disarmed this Black community of over 300 of their weapons. And there was actually a citywide curfew set, and the Black-owned businesses were closed. I don't know if that was because they were damaged and they needed time to repair or what, but the white businesses remained open and the Black-owned businesses were closed. So I don't want to get too far off topic with talking about Jason Aldean's music video and why the location that he chose to shoot in was problematic. So I'm just going to put this here if you want to pause to read it. This is the historical marker that they ended up putting in that community to mark it as a historical site. But I do have a lot more information. If you want me to elaborate on this, I will. But I want to kind of wrap this up to talk more about the music video and why it's problematic. So yeah, it's definitely inappropriate with the context of the song that it was shot at this location, highlighting this exact area. Like truly, if that's not a coded racist message, I don't know what is. I don't think you can get more obvious than this. Shooting your music video at the site of a literal lynching in the center of a race riot for a song that is ambiguously political in nature, I just really don't think that's a coincidence. And you can believe that's a coincidence if you want, but I truly don't think that it is. Because you're going to tell me that a PR company or whoever works for his public relations isn't looking at these things, like they're not researching the history of these places before they shoot there. So it just doesn't add up. Someone on his team or he himself, if he's living in Tennessee and has lived there for however long, had to have known of the historical context of the racial violence that occurred in this location. And considering how many times in the music video it goes back to this location, nah, somebody knew. Somebody fucking knew. So in part 4, we're still going to be talking about this location, but it's like down the road. I have some theories. They're just theories. So hear me out. All right, part. Okay, so one of the main comments that I've been getting from people who disagree with me is that I'm reaching with everything that I'm saying. And I guarantee you none of them watched the last 4 parts that I did about why the Maury County Courthouse is totally an inappropriate location for him to shoot his video, but I digress. But everything I am about to say is a theory. None of it is confirmed. These are just hunches. And look, I'm a Taylor Swift fan, so I really know a thing or two about Easter eggs. I know how to read in between the lines. I'm also autistic, and I have a knack for making connections. It's literally what I do, and I love researching. So, with all that said, here are my completely unhinged theories that have no factual basis to them whatsoever. Okay, so obviously by now you're all familiar with this location. Okay, so I found it interesting that there are no lights on in the town at all, except for the lights that they use as like their stage lights, and then this light right here. So what does my ass do? I go to Google Street View to find out what the fuck those lights are. Come to find it is Puckett's Grocery Restaurant. Now, this location is not their original location. This location was put in here in 2013, but this whole discovery made me go on a deep dive into Puckett's grocery store. And what I found was that it was founded in the 1950s in Leapers Fork, Tennessee, who has a nearly 99% white demographic. And I mean, it was the 1950s. in Tennessee in a mostly white area. I'm just going to take a wild guess. Of course, I don't know for sure. I'm just going to take a wild guess that maybe they might have had signs like these. Also, this illustration just gives me the heebie-jeebies. Also, I genuinely cannot tell if the cook is white or black, but they look darker than the people at the table. I don't know though. Also, I don't think that's a black kid. I think it's just dark hair because that kneecap looks white. So take with that what you will. But from the pictures I could see online, it's just giving like modern Cracker Barrel. I know I'm totally judging a book by its cover, but I don't know. I gotta stick with my gut and something don't feel right. See what I mean about the Cracker Barrel vibes? Also, they have like a whole room and signs like as a memorial for James K. Polk. Interesting. Just a interesting fact here. He was number 8 on this list. They also had a bunch of signs commemorating Mule Day. All right, pop quiz. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Yeah, so Mule Day was originally started to sell livestock and also human beings. But wait, just guess from where? Yeah, none other than Courthouse Square. So here's a photo from 1939. Obviously, they were not selling human beings at this point, but it's still a tradition nonetheless. And they had like a bunch of decor with this, and it just feels weird to me that they're like celebrating this so much. Even if they nixed the selling of human beings, it's still weird. Shit, we need a part 6. Okay, so one of the main comments that I've been getting from people.
Damn. So there's one more that I wanted to.
I'm sorry. I'm so happy that Destiny made this. Shout out to Destiny Stark for taking the time to do all of this research. We've got to have her on. Girl, I love you, and I love everything that you do. I literally look up to you. You bring the heat, and you do not back down. You are relentless in your fight, and we completely support you here. I just had to jump in and say that.
No, you good. You good. I literally like. I know we made a response to try that in a small town, and the way she broke it down, because I understood the meaning, like the hidden messages, the dog whistles in the video. I just didn't really know the full context of it all. And she also did write up, I'm going to play, she's got one more great video that breaks it down. It's about 8 minutes long, and
Okay.
I'm gonna play that if I can find it. I just gotta remember I'm trying to think.
For those who don't know and want to get more, follow Destiny Stark, especially on TikTok. She does great work.
Okay, so here it is. So here's the video, because Jason Aldean, I don't know if a lot of people didn't. I didn't either until I seen NBC News had interviewed Destiny because of multiple reasons of people were giving her threats because of what she was doing. And it's crazy to me of that when people, because if none of this, and I'm going to break it down because again, she wrote up a great summary of the images that were used in the video as well. So I want to get into it because like she just explains it way better than.
So Jason Aldean released a statement about his song.
Whoops. I guess I better share it.
Statement, but I'm going to address just one. He claims that there isn't a single video clip in the entirety of his music video that isn't actual news coverage. I'm here to tell you that that is complete bullshit. In fact, he uses multiple clips in the first 30 seconds of the video that are either fake or didn't even happen in America. You see, here's the thing about me. I'm petty, I admit that, but I'm also thorough. And that's a combination that endangers the status quo. But I also have a knack for getting answers to my questions. So here we are, petty and curious with access to the internet. All right, so we're starting off with this scene in the music video. It's a video of someone giving the middle finger to the police. So from the jump, I was just getting vibes that this video was not American. The first inkling that I had was these very specific helmets that these officers have on. I've never seen American police wear with that like ducktail thing on the back. Maybe they do. I've just never seen them. And then there was just something about the way these street lines were. It just didn't look like it was an American street to me. So then I noticed that this person's bag has some writing on it. You can make out some of the letters and it says Emma and then it has EWIG. So I go to Google and type in those letters and I discover that it's actually a German movie. And while sure, someone in America could have a bag with German written on it, that would not be unusual. This at least gave me a point of reference that this could possibly be in Germany. So I zoom in a little closer and see that there's an orange building. So I take my ass to Google and I Google Germany, orange building. And I scour through a bunch of photos until I find one that looks very similar to this building. And I find this picture. It's of a Mexican restaurant called Que Pasa. And this picture was actually attached to a review on TripAdvisor. And lucky for me, they gave the location as Kreuzberg district of Berlin. But how could I know for sure if this was the exact building that was in the video? So there are 3 things I want you to pay attention to. First being this green radial artwork. Second being this railing that has red, green, and yellow stripes on it. And third being this outdoor menu that they have on the wall. So in the video, you can see that they have that same green garage door window that has the radial artwork on it. If you zoom in really close, you can see that railing that has the red, green, and yellow stripes on it. And you can also see that they have an outdoor menu on the wall. So at this point, I was pretty convinced that this was likely the location of this video. Just to add a little more fact to the convincing, these street lines are very specific. And it turns out that it's actually part of the crosswalk. American crosswalks don't look like that. But I just need a little more evidence. So I take my ass back to Google and I type in Kreuzberg, Berlin, Germany, middle finger, police. And I discover that that video is actually from stock video footage that is for sale on stock photo video websites like Shutterstock, Pond5. Now, in Jason Aldean's video, they didn't use the entire clip because that would give it away that it's not in America. But in the longer clip that's on the stock websites, you can see that it says Que Pasa on the side of the building. So this is, in fact, the building. So now that we've established that that video is not in America, that it's in Berlin, Germany, I just wanted to take things a step further because why the hell not? At this point, I'm invested. So the other thing that was weird to me was no one in this video had any signs or seemed to be chanting or anything like that. And upon doing more research, I find out that this is actually taken from May 1st, 2017 at their May Day festival. So that would kind of explain why there are people standing in the street socializing. This guy over here is drinking beer. They're not at all protesting. So if the consensus of Jason Aldean's video is that he's protecting his small community from rioters and protesters protesting the police, you would think he would actually use footage that was actually from America. You know, it'd be kind of difficult to protect your small town in the middle of America from a festival taking place in Berlin, Germany. So just to shine a light on that propaganda, let's get to the next part, which is a clip of this person lighting a Molotov cocktail. Now, I get the vibe that Jason Aldean's creative team was going for here. It was to instill fear that protesters and rioters are going to burn all of your cities to the ground. But this footage is not even real news footage. The first dead giveaway was just how cinematic and beautiful the actual filmed footage of this was. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, if this was actually happening and people were throwing Molotov cocktails, who would have the time to film this video without there being like people in the back or police attacking them or whatever? Yeah, that's because this is not real. This is not real news footage. And I'm going to show you how I figured that out. So I took a screenshot of this part of the music video, brought it over to Google image search. I fucking love technology, by the way, because literally it was the second video. Look at that. It's from a stock footage website. So let's just go and find this footage, shall we? Okay, that's not it. That's not it. Keep going, keep going. Still not it. Still not it. Oh, what have we here? Look at that. Stock footage from Clever Arts. And look at that. Look at that beautiful stock footage. But that's not all. Come to find that Clever Arts stock has multiple videos from this very commercial shoot. That's right, folks. That footage is not from a protest. It is from a controlled commercial video shoot for the sole purpose of being stock footage that Jason Aldean is using in his video to instill fear in already riled up Americans. And the best part, they didn't even shoot this footage in America. Nope, this company is from Bulgaria. More specifically, I'm probably going to butcher this, but they're from Plovdiv, Bulgaria. So there's some facts for you. So when he claims that not a single video clip in that entire music video isn't real news footage, he's lying. Because less than 30 seconds in, I've already found 2. And neither of them were from America. And also, if you still think that that song and music video don't have racist undertones to it, this is just a reminder that he shot in front of the Maury County Courthouse, which was the site of a lynching in 1927, and also a race riot in 1946. So there's that. But yeah, God bless the US. I haven't made it through the entire music video yet, but I already have thoughts on how the footage that is from America in his music video, how it's used in a way that is exaggerated. Like, for example, this is footage from New York City, I believe. And the footage that they use is kind of like a close-up of this dumpster fire or whatever this is. And there's people running around here on this crosswalk. And they leave a lot to the imagination of what's outside of this border here. Because from looking at this, you would think, oh my gosh, that city is probably completely burned to the ground. There's probably buildings on fire and cars turned over and all kinds of shit, right? Well, that's not exactly the case, because I found the stock footage and a further out aerial view. And as you can see, there are no buildings on fire. There's really not even that many people here. And there's a single dumpster fire happening. I've seen crowds do worse things celebrating a sports event. So yeah, even the footage that you're seeing, if it's real or not, it's propaganda. And the fact that he and his team have cherry-picked such specific clips and part of clips and not showing you the whole picture says it all. So yeah, his cult followers can keep coming to my account, keep giving the engagement and hate, and I'll just keep giving you facts. So if you are one of the folks that's been following this series and you've actually learned something and are invested in this content, thanks for being here and having these important discussions about things that are clearly over some people's heads. And I'm going to keep using my platform to talk about nuance and complexity and dog whistles and always anti-racism. So to the people who want to see this content and want to learn, let me know what you thought of this video and let me know what you want to see next. So Jason.
Man, thank you, Destiny. And we're not done using her material yet either. So there is one more that she did, an OG deep dive. This is her page, destinystarks.com. And I am going to put that in the comments. There we go. Now, back to take this off the screen. So the OG deep dive right here is, so that thing to me right there, and that gives, I think for me is really a good
comparison to show.
Yeah. Right, because it does give, you know, where they lynched Henry at and where the flag is at on Maury County. I loved how she, and I know we only watched, I don't know how, the video is only like 3 minutes long, but I don't know how deep she got into, and I think she actually did talk about the whole 3-minute video. But I love for me how she, and this is what basically what this article is about, this summary is basically the backstory, and then she breaks it down frame by frame, and just like in the video that we just watched, of how she found it and the source of it. Because none of them videos, that's what I loved about how she broke down this Jason Aldean song and the video, for the simple fact the song was aimed at the times. You know, we're in an era that I would literally compare to as big as the civil rights era. Right. I don't think we've ever been in a period in time, be like, you know, because we do go through periods where shit doesn't happen. You know what I'm saying? There's like, you know, the 70s, there was a little something, you know, and then you had the 80s, there was a little, but then the 90s almost kicked off. 2000s, you know, Y2K was trying to scare people up, and then we got to COVID. And if you look at it, as history, and I know people like, oh, he's a conspiracy theorist. Man, I'll tell you like this. I just watched the video yesterday where our government admitted that they have proof that there is outside people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you call it what you want to call it. I'm a realist. But yeah, man, it should just be insane to me of how we as people can, you know, because she's getting threats over this, over it, literally explaining what somebody is trying to do, because they're not doing it out in the front. This is a subliminal message to not even, I won't say his followers, but people like Trump, people that are a part of Patriot Front, people that are, you know, white supremacists, and that feel like they're wanted in this country. You know what I'm saying? Because of shit like this. And the reason why I honestly are breaking this down and really going to get more in depth into it just beyond this episode of Setting the Record Straight is because Jason Aldean is actually coming to the Red Wing area. He'll be here next month for a concert. And there's been a push to boycott it, to get it canceled.
Wow.
I don't know. And to be honest, man, I would, you know, the crazy thing of it is you would think it would be such an easy thing to do to get canceled since it's at a reservation.
Think about how hard we tried to get Moms for Liberty and Trump and DeSantis to not come to Philly. All the actions that happened, they still came.
Right.
I still stood with them because a lot of money was invested in it.
See, and I think that's what is going to be when it comes out of all said and done with this.
Yeah, they've got the money, but we have the numbers.
It's going to be about money. You know, this is a casino, and in Minnesota, the casinos are.
They'll be at Treasure Island.
And I don't like them anyways. And they're owned and ran by Native Americans. So you would think it would be the easy thing to do to get them to do it, but I've already heard that they're doubling down and they're not going to cancel. They're not going to give in. My belief is, and I still believe in the power of the people, that if it's done right and if there's enough pressure applied, that I do believe that Treasure Island will do the right thing and cancel the concert. And I only say this because honestly, it's music. But it's more than just music, because this, just like with January 6th and what Trump did, what I feel like there's no difference, because people are trying to start a race war. Let's be honest. People are literally trying to start another race war in America. And that's what this shouldn't even be about. And that's why we need to have people like Destiny, like Jontel, like Chaz, like Silk, like Shay, so many other people that are out here combating narratives to tell the truth, to tell the whole story of it, because Jason Aldean bogus. There's so many hidden messages in this, and that people are either scared to confront or just don't want to talk about. But the shit really happened, and it wasn't even that long ago. So to get more into this, the backstory of why she did the stitch, or what they call it on TikTok, is that she's received, spoke out against racism, massive trigger warning. I will not be censoring the racist language, fat, phobic insults, death threats, or the calls for me to end my own life. I also will not be censoring out names of the people who sent these messages, although I'm sure that most of them are not real names to begin with. The wise one, I'd say we hang you, but you pull the whole tree down with you. Wow. You big fucking ugly coconut shaped bitch. Keep crying about race. No one gives a fuck about you. You're pathetic. Hopefully one day we can jam your man fat ass in the blocks and float. Wow. Fuck BLM and your whole family. Damn. Wow. You know, it's there. This to me is sick because of the simple fact of
It's really sad and fucked up.
right. It's fucked up because
It's just the fact that people are even thinking
these kind of thoughts.
that's blatantly racist.
Right. Petty and curious, just like a cat, but curiosity will eventually kill the cat. Wow.
Did they call her the N-word?
Wow. They even call her the N-word. Wow. You ain't nothing but a stupid nigger that God fucked up while wow. He will not accept you into the gates of heaven, burn in hell, and nobody will be there to save you. Wow. Stupid. I'll hang you. Oh, wow. In myself in my backyard for everyone to see, and we'll all gather around. Wow. That's crazy. Wow. You know, when people say that's wow. There's some sick ass people, and I call these people cowards because these ain't real names. These ain't fucking real people. They're real people. They're cowards, though they sit behind a desk all day and think they're doing something.
Yep.
But they're not really doing nothing. So sad that a song hurt your fragile feelings. Looking at you, I think you'd have thick skin. You should bungee jump without a rope. Wow. The fact that you displays it. See, this is what I don't like either, is the fact that they want to compare rap music to this. There's no comparisons to that. And I'm not disagreeing with anything of the statistics they bring up or the data. What I'm trying to say is that when it comes to rap, 9 times out of 10, most of these guys are out here talking about stuff that they see every day, their experiences in life, and it's the only way for them to get it out healthy, naturally. It's an art, and just like when people do it, paintings, some people might write books, some people might read. Some people just have God gave talents to be able to vocalize themselves for others to listen. And they're just gifted with it. Does that make it? I don't agree with it, everything that they talk about, but it's reality. It's when you come out of the house and see, the problem is I wouldn't have a problem with Jason Aldean's song if we wouldn't have such a hard time of America and people acknowledging the past traumas instead of just covering it up, because y'all will talk all day about Lil Durk. Y'all talk all day about NBA Youngboy. You'll talk all day about King Von. But then when it comes to talk about the tragedies and the traumas that have never been any kind of accountability or justice, and you'll try to compare it to shit, you can't compare apples and oranges. And I know I might be saying this completely different than maybe the way John Tell would give it out, but that's the way it is for me, because somebody that grew up in the inner city, that's seen the things that they talk about in rap music, and then the shit that Jason Aldean, buddy, you just gave a whole Disney story, and that's not reality. That's never been a reality in a small town for a black man or a black child. What you gave out is a reality for white people, the status quo, people that are who feel like they're superior. That's the way I see it. You didn't give out no truths there. You gave out a fantasy, a fairy tale. Yeah, so 2.7 million players. And that was just dead. So I was, wow. Try that in a small town is an indirect threat, essentially saying, fuck around and find out. to anyone supporters of the song feels deserves to be handled via vigilantism. In addition to the coded messaging of the song title, most of the music video shows Aldean performing the song with his band in front of the Maury County Courthouse in Columbia, Tennessee. Now, like she broke it down in the video of what that courthouse meant. There was numerous incidents and tragic incidents with a lynching, with a race riot. The courthouse has been the center of racial tensions for many years, but it's also the site of the horrific kidnapping, murder, and lynching of a Black teenager named Henry Schultz. Less than 100 years ago in 1927, well, that may sound like it was a long time ago. To put it into perspective, my grandfather was born just a few years later. And there are people who are still very much alive that were born in 1927. I did a several part series on, we just watched that, on TikTok, talking about what occurred at the Maury County Courthouse and why it was completely inappropriate place to shoot a music video like this, especially considering the focal point of most of the music video was an American flag that hung on the courthouse's second floor, right where Henry Schultz was lynched. The courthouse was also center of a violent race riot in 1946, where the police raided the Black neighborhood in Columbia, referred to as Mink Slide. They destroyed businesses and homes and arrested Black people en masse and confiscated hundreds of weapons without warrants or probable cause to do so. That right there is, I feel like, so problematic, because the things that are even talked about that actually happened in this music video in past history, and how Jason Aldean is trying to make it seem as two different realities, two different stories, and that's not the way that it should be. That's not the way that it small towns are. That's not the way that small towns have ever been with Black people. So just for thought. But so Jason Aldean shot this at the site where a white lynch mob strung Harry showed up at the, and this is because I want people to see. So that X is Henry's body, and you get his little hat out the way. What do you see? There's no difference right there, and where his hat is at is where Henry's body hangs in this picture, where the X is at. So yeah, crazy. So let's see. When you grow up in a small, yeah, wow, you crossed that line. But even with, I know my thing of it is, if his video song is not directed at Black people, why did he take certain photos, certain footage out of the music video? That's all I want to know, because there's no way in hell you can tell me that you're from that area and you didn't know what happened. Well, no, you know what? Fuck that. It's possible, because of the simple fact of most people in Red Wing don't even know the history of Red Wing when it comes to Black people. So because it's not something that's talked about, it's not something that's taught. So I understand it. But it should be stuff that is all talked about. It should be stuff that is all taught, because of the simple fact that shit happens, man. It happened, and it ain't going nowhere. No matter how much we want everybody to get along and to want to love one another and to treat everybody equally, it's never going to happen. That's a dream, wish that we hope someday will come true, but it ain't. I like how she broke that down though, and even to find the footage. Yeah, this is Ukraine. Person throwing a Molotov cocktail. Not real news footage. So basically, it was a fear mongering. It was a fear tactic video because none of this shit was even in America. 2013. What's that got to do with a small town? Protesters with flares. Commercial stock footage. Police in riot gear. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 2009 at the G20 summit. Wow. Police in riot gear. This is in Quebec, Canada, February 2013. Protesters won. Barcelona, 2019. Ukraine again, 2013. Ukraine. See, that's crazy because, wow, you know. Ukraine. Charge at pro. You know, that's another country. Yeah, look at that. Canada. Over gate. Ukraine. Police car on fire. Toronto, Canada. 2010. Police tackle a person. Damn, they use a lot of footage from Canada. The Ukraine. Ukraine. Yeah, and why does all of that matter? Because the context of the song gives off the vibe of being pro-America and pro-police while criticizing the largest American social justice movement in modern day history, Black Lives Matter. The use of these extreme images of violent protests and riots feeds the false narrative that conservatives have been pushing. See, I'm not going to go conservatives because it's not conservatives, because I don't agree with this, and I am a conservative. So we got to stop stereotyping, because not everybody, even when it comes to Republicans, not all Republicans agree with, the things that are being portrayed in this video as propaganda to get people hyped up. So I don't want I want to take it a step further there, because I know conservatives, Black conservatives, white conservatives that have spoke out about this video. So sorry about my speech today. Holy shit. For years implying that Black Lives Matter protests are violent riots and insinuates that they won't put up with that shit in small towns. The song goes on to talk about taking up arms to protect their communities from what the implied threat is in this song, even though an overwhelming majority of Black Lives Matter protests were completely peaceful and nonviolent. And we know that this is a hot button topic that many politicians built their entire platforms on. These topics got people talking, and the more people that talk about this song and the music video, the more money he and his label makes from this song. Unfortunately, fear-mongering sparks outrage, and outrage sells. The use of propaganda is the realm of political conversation, is an effective marketing tool. Using such extreme footage from other countries for this music video pushes the narrative that protesters are violent rioters whom small towns should fear and take up arms against. It's a very dangerous message that is emboldening people all around the country to take part in vandalism and vigilantism. Propaganda works to evoke a scarcity mindset that puts people in fight or flight, and this song is encouraging a fight response, in my opinion, by playing out the fears already riled up Americans. So no, I'm not just on the internet complaining about a song. I'm pointing to the very real harms these stereotypes and narratives fuel. Political propaganda like this literally influences how people vote, interacts with others. I don't understand how more people aren't seeing this as a big deal. I agree, Destiny. Definitely agree. Definitely agree. And like I said, this is going to be something that I go deeper into in context, because there's so much more to go with this. And I'm going to talk about it the days leading up. So I want everybody to enjoy the rest of their Friday. You have a great weekend. And I will see you guys back Monday. Monday morning. You might see me over the weekend. Maybe might do a live Saturday or Sunday, but definitely will not be anytime soon. So I want everybody to, again, enjoy your Friday. Enjoy the nice weather. Get out. Enjoy your family time. If you see something, say something, do something. So win or fail, freedom or jail, heaven or hell, wish me well. Y'all have a great one.
Every day, fighting for my life. Every day, fighting for my life. Fighting for my life. Fighting for my bread. Grew from the seed you thought was rot. I think not. Fire bred desire to rise above denial, to rise from former ashes to face new trial for more triumph. I am enough. Trial to triumph. I am enough. Every day.